I know, I can't get it to do that because then I'd have to have a camera somewhere. Okay, so we're going to look at the slope-intercept form once again, right? All of our problems yesterday, we were writing it in y equals mx plus b format. So we're doing the same thing again today, but now I'm given different information. Now I only know 2 points. So my 2 points, great, I just need one of them to fill in this formula. So let's write down our point slope formula one more time. Y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. So again, and that's at the front of the room. It's also on your flip book. So make sure we try to find that. So that we know a point, and we get to pick which one we want to use, right? But I don't know m. I don't know my slope. So what can I do, though, to find slope? Good. So I can subtract those y's, just like what we did yesterday, right? We did this process yesterday where, one more time, I'll write this down for us, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So all I want to do is subtract my y's on top, subtract the x's on the bottom. So I'll do 3 minus 4 on the top of the fraction, so y minus y. Then on the bottom, I'll do negative 4 minus 0. So make sure you go in the same order. So if you do second y minus first y, you need to do second x minus first x. So 3 minus 4 is negative 1. Negative 4 minus 0 is negative 4. And so 1/4 can't be reduced, but what about those two negatives being divided? What's going to happen there? It's going to become positive. Good. So I now know my slope. I know my m is 1/4. I get to pick an ordered pair. So which one are we thinking? Do we want to use 0, 4 or negative 4, 3?
0, 4.
Yeah, I would use 0, 4. There's no wrong answer. Okay, but I would use the one that's smaller numbers and no negatives. So I'm going to use 0, 4. So now let's go ahead and plug that in. So we'll take y minus the y value of that ordered pair that I'm using is 4. That's equal to my slope, which I just found to be 1/4 that I have circled up there on the TV. And then that's being multiplied by x minus the x value of the ordered pair is 0. And now we can solve. So we want to distribute through. And this is really nice because 1/4 times x is just the 1/4 x. Squish those together. But anything times 0 goes away. So you can write minus 0 there if you want, if it helps you. Or you don't even have to put anything over there, okay? Then we can add 4 to the other side. Again, this is very easy because 0 plus anything is just what I'm adding, right? So 0 plus 4 is 4. So there would be my final answer, all right? So one more step than what we did yesterday. Yesterday, I knew the slope, I knew the point. Now I'm doing one more thing. I'm finding the slope, and then I repeat the process from yesterday. So let's try that one more time to make sure we've got that, and then we'll move on to our parallel and perpendicular ones. Okay, so one more time, if I give you 2 points, you've got to find the slope first. So we want to start with that. So I will subtract the y's on the top part of my fraction. Negative 5 and 5, I subtract those. Okay, if I did negative 5 minus 5, then that means when I subtract the x's, I've got to do 2 minus 1. Second ordered pair minus first ordered pair. That's how I like to do that. Negative 5 minus 5 is negative 10. 2 minus 1 is 1. And what is negative 10 divided by 1? Just negative 10, right? So that simplifies very nice. So this is my slope. We can circle that. I now need to pick an ordered pair. So what do I want to use? Which one? Yeah, I'd use 1, 5. There's no wrong answer. So don't feel like if you chose the other one, you're wrong. You just want to pick the one that's probably the easiest. So now that I've got my slope circled, I got the point that I want to use, I can plug it into the formula. So y minus the y value of the ordered pair is 5. That's equal to my slope, which is negative 10. Parentheses x minus the x value of the ordered pair is 1. And then I can distribute. So we rewrite that y minus 5. That's equal to negative 10 times x is negative 10x. Negative 10 times 1 is 10. And final step, we get to add that 5 to the other side to fully solve for y. So y is equal to negative 10x, and 10 plus 5 is 15. And there would be my final answer. Okay, so that's the process of 2 points, no slope. You've got to find the slope first, all right? So they take just a little bit longer. They're not any more difficult. They just take a while. So again, that's why we have less problems to do today. Now we're going to move on to our parallel and perpendicular ones. So parallel, if we look at this problem here, I want to write a new formula that goes through this point. So that's great. I've got the point already figured out. That's part of it. But I need a slope, right? My formula requires both the point and the end, the slope. I don't see anything here about slope, and I don't have another point to find slope, but it tells me that my line needs to be parallel to y equals negative 5x plus 3. And what do we know about slopes of parallel lines?
Slopes even.
I kind of see what you're saying. Yeah, they're going to be going kind of the same direction, right? So their slopes have to be what?
They have the same slope.
They have the same slope. Good. I see what you're saying there, even. Yeah, they're both the same thing, right? Okay, so same slope. So that means if I can identify the slope of this line, I know my new line also has to have the same slope. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's look at this line, the first line, and what is the slope of that one? What is the slope of this line here? I've got underlined in red. Negative 5, right? Slope is always a number in front of the x. So if that line has a slope of negative 5, my new line also needs a slope of negative 5, right? You just use the same number. And now I have enough information, right? I know my slope has to be the same. It has to be negative 5. I know it has to go through this point. That's what it tells me in the problem. Now I can fill this in. So we'll say y minus the y value of the ordered pair is 5. That's equal to my slope, which is also negative 5. Then I write x minus the x value of the ordered pair is negative 2. Now I'm going to just stop us there for today, but on your own, on problems 46 through 53, you do need to finish solving it out. But we've done enough problems, I think, over the past 2 days where I'm not going to keep spending time. I want you guys to have time to work, okay? So you would keep going, but I'm going to stop us here for the notes. But I think we know how to finish that one out now, okay? Let's do one more, but this time, what's different about this problem? It doesn't say parallel. Good, it says perpendicular. And what do we know about perpendicular lines? They're opposite, and yeah, so they're negative because they're opposite. And what else do we do that number? You flip the number. Good. They're opposite reciprocals is what that's called. But really, that just means you're going to take the opposite sign and you're going to flip it over. Okay, so let's find the slope of the first line. So what is the slope of my original line? 3. I do not want to use the same slope because this time I want my new line to be perpendicular, meaning that they are going to cross through like this. They're going to make a 90-degree angle. So I need to make opposite that 3, so it needs to be negative. And then what is 3 over 1 flipped over? 1 over 3. So this is my new slope that I'm using, okay? So again, when you see perpendicular, don't use the same slope. That's parallel. Perpendicular means you got to change it up a little bit. Make it opposite and flip it. Now that's the slope of a perpendicular line. Now I've got my ordered pair that I'm using. And once again, we plug this in. So we're going to say y minus the y value of the ordered pair is 5. That's equal to my perpendicular slope of negative 1 over 3. X minus the x value of the ordered pair is also negative 3. And again, you would keep working that one out on the study guide on problems 46 through 53. But I'm going to stop us there, and we're going to move on. I want you guys to have plenty of time to work today. Okay? So keep going when you're doing your own problems. But that's the process to set it up. Okay, and then this year, I mean, every year I always have different levels, but this year I think we're doing pretty good. So we can go ahead and cross off another one of those perpendicular ones. I don't think we need it. I think we're doing pretty good there. So we can cross that one off. And the last little bit that we are going to do is our graphing one, okay? So graphing, this first problem here, graphing, is it already solved for y? Yes, right? So this is one that's ready to go. So I just need to identify my b value or my y-intercept. That's the number at the end, right? Y equals mx plus b. So that's where I'm going to start. So I'm going to start at negative 3 on the y-axis. So remember, that axis is going up and down. It is also labeled here. If you notice, that one says y. So I start at negative 3. Then my slope is the number in front of x. We just talked about that. just a few minutes ago, right? We did good. So negative 2 over 3 is my slope, meaning I'm going to go down 1, 2 spaces forwards. 1, 2, 3. We always run forwards. And then that's honestly enough for me because these graphs are kind of small. You just need to make a couple points here because remember, our final exam is multiple choice. So you'll be looking at multiple choice graphs. So if you can just figure out, hey, this one has the right intercept and this one goes down 2 forwards 3 and that's, where the line is. Okay, you can choose that one as your graph. So we don't need to graph so many points. It will be multiple choice. All right, let's move on to the last one here. This time, can I just start graphing this though? Good. So yeah, I can solve for y. That's one option. Or remember the other option was intercepts. What do we think we want to do as a class? Do we want to solve for y or do we want to go with the intercepts? Solve. Okay. So yeah, all day that's what people have been choosing. So when I solve for y, I can just move that x over in one step. So we get negative 5y equals negative x minus 10. Right, I'm just moving that x to the other side. Then I still don't want that negative 5 in front of the y though, so we're going to divide everything by negative 5. And I get y equals, I've got a negative over a negative, good. And that's a 1 over 5, 1/5. Good. Then negative 10 divided by negative 5 is positive 2. And now we can graph. So this time, I'm going to start up 2 on the y-axis because that's the number at the end. My slope is 1 over 5, so I'm going to rise 1, run forwards 5 right here. And again, that's probably enough to graph this line because, again, it's going to be multiple choice, so we don't need to go too crazy with the graphing. All right, so I know that was very fast, but